Hello and welcome to another episode of Fuck Your Podcast. I'm Emma Pardo, and today I'm not being joined by Katy Martin, but that's okay. She is currently on a client visit in Mesquite, Texas, visiting one of our honorable marketing clients. I think they do coaching with Katy as well. She's in Mesquite, Texas for the day, and she will be flying back shortly. So she's not able to make it. So I am taking over for the day. I drove from Fort Worth. We were just in Fort Worth because we did sponsor an event. We sponsored Kimba Garcia, her Alice in Wonderland theme CEO AF Summit, which was fantastic, by the way. Met a lot of good people, talked to a lot of good people, heard some interesting stories, and some really good lessons were learned. I was very excited about that. So today, on today's episode, I will be joined by Amanda and Devon. They both work for a marketing agency in our Women in Roofing group, which we've discussed before on the podcast. And I'm really excited to talk to them and kind of compare marketing agencies and see where they're at and what journey they've gone through as far as developing this marketing agency and their daily tasks and all of that good stuff. I'm so excited to have Devon and Amanda on the podcast today, considering that we're all marketers in the contracting industry, right? Not super niched down to that. We're open to other things, but that's where we all have commonalities and whatnot. But yes, I have Devon and Amanda on today. If you guys want to introduce yourself, tell the listeners a little bit about yourself, how you guys know each other, how we all know each other, all that good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. I know. I'm Devon Hayes, Amanda Joyce. We're business partners and we own Elevation Marketing and we focus on home services and contractors. But how I found Emma and Katy was in a Facebook group, the Women in Roofing group. And you guys had posted something about being on a podcast. And we, we're obviously a women-owned business. And so we love other marketers and we love supporting women. So that's why I was like, oh, I want to be a guest.
Yes, I was so excited. I was so excited the amount of people that want, because I was the one that put out the post. I was like, we need guests and we need women that we support. Let's hear these stories. We're all in this like uncommon or male dominated space, really, which is, I feel like it's changing somewhat, but in this male dominated space. And like, I wanted to hear stories. We wanted to promote like women supporting women, right?
Yeah, for sure.
So that's why I did that. I was so excited when I put out the post and I saw everything.
I loved how much engagement you guys got too. I'm like, this is so great. It's just like one of those warm, fuzzy, feel good things, you know?
Yes, absolutely.
So Amanda and I don't know. I was trying to think of our history without going into like the war and peace of like my, resume. But yeah, we've partnered. So we had our individual agencies. We merged at some juncture because I focus on like the SEO side of life and Amanda focuses on the paid media and content marketing side of life. And we were like, why don't we do this together?
Let's get married. That's what Katy and I did. Katy focuses on the SEO. She does more of the paid ads too. And then I'm like the content creation, graphic design, like all that good jazz website, like making a website look aesthetic, but still SEO friendly. So that's so funny. You guys are like,
you get a married couple. Yeah. So, and it's been, I think, has it been 5 years?
Because it's like, we got married like 3 weeks before I got married. So
that's so funny.
My husband, like,
I love it. I know Katy and I are always like, we're just, whenever we go to like the last couple days when we went to Fort Worth, we're like, it's gals trip, girlfriend's night out, right? And it's just the best time too. It's so much fun.
Yeah, it is fun.
I always say that like, if I sat down and tried to write down who I needed as a business partner, I would have never dreamed that I would actually like find a Devon. And she just fell into my lap. Like she married one of my best friends. And then we first started just giving each other work. And then
it was just like, why not? Why don't we just marry this? Right?
Why are we coming out here separately when we could be together? And we were so effective together than we were separately.
What was that?
Yeah. So much more effective, like.
Oh my God. Yeah. No, so I had my own individual agency similar because I've said it on the podcast before. I graduated right in the beginning of, it was April 2020. So COVID, there was no jobs. I was like, what am I even going to do? My parents are business owners, or my mom and my stepdad are. And I was like, I'm just going to make my own job and we're going to do this. And it's called Elevate Publication. So very similar to you guys.
That's funny.
And it's kind of like, I need to do something with it because I've obviously focused more on 99 creatives, but that's how it kind of started with Katy and I. we were like plotting, like, we are better than this, right? What are we going to do? How are we going to put this together? And she had a vision and I had already that like, okay, I know what we need to set up, kind of that like experience knowledge. And obviously she's been a business owner for however long. And in the roofing industry, we're like, we're going to make this happen. This is what we're going to do. And I can't tell you how many hours we've stayed up like so late trying to just get everything together before we officially launched. And now it's like so exciting that we've created this life for ourselves and making money on the internet and being in the comfort of our own homes. And it's just great. So I support you guys because that's fantastic. I know the feeling.
Yeah, definitely.
So how did you two officially meet? Like you guys knew each other in the same space, or was it like you guys were friends before, or how did that happen?
We were friends first. So we met the first time we met, I think, was when you came to Phoenix for a wedding, right, Devon?
Oh, yeah. I laugh because it was actually my husband's ex-girlfriend's wedding. So I I'm going into this thing like, this is awkward because these are all like his old friends from his old life, but like he stayed really good friends with everybody and like became really good friends with his ex-girlfriend's now husband. But you know, me flying blind into that, I'm like, what am I getting into? Like, this is insane. And then Amanda, she was like the first one I met. She picked us up from the airport and I was like, oh, this is a breath of fresh air. I'm like, okay, I think everything's going to be okay. And yeah, we just hit it off and I think laughed so hard and just had the best time. Like that.
And then that was it. The rest is history, right?
Exactly. So we hung out so many times and just had fun together. And the more we started talking about our professional lives, the more we were like, wait a minute,
we're meant to be, right?
Yeah, I had started, like, I was still in the corporate world, but my husband, he had a roofing company, and actually it was his partner who was like, why don't you do our marketing? Because they weren't doing anything. Like, I think their website just had like free coupons on it, and it was like, what are you guys doing? So, and that was like, I think that was like 2010, maybe 2011. So yeah, the more like as their business grew, they started having me do more, and as that happened, I was still kind of corporate life and I needed help. And Amanda like specializes in all the things that like I'm not great at. So it was so it started that way. And then after a couple of years, I think Amanda was in like Positano, Italy, and was like, how do I do more of this? And she had the brilliant idea of merging.
So we all are in like the same space pretty much. It sounds like you guys are the same story. Katy and I went from, where we were working before, and all of the toxic things out of that place. We were like, we want to create a safe space that's nothing like this, that has boundaries, but it also is like doing the most for our clients.
Yes.
And, getting the result. Yeah. And that's what we did. And that's what we love about like anybody that we hire on. We really love to press that, you get technically unlimited PTO, right? You build your own schedule. There's more to life than just sticking to a desk at a 9 to 5, right? Especially with the internet, you can make so much money in half the time that you would sitting at a desk in some office building, right? So I love that. I love that you guys are on the same page of like getting your life back, right? Claiming it back, right? So being in the same space, let's talk about the contractors that we deal with. And I'm not saying like gossipy, but what are some like the best moments and the worst moments you guys have had working with other contractors in general? And we don't have to name names, obviously, but there's great stories. We have fantastic clients, but there are some fucking nightmares out there. I will say that.
Oh my God. We had one comes to mind because for the most part, actually 2 this year, all of our clients, like I would say retention rate, like 99%, like they've been with us forever. We love them. They love us. So we got a referral this spring that we were so excited about. It came from, someone that I had met like in kind of like a women's mastermind in roofing. And I was really excited, like really eager to do a good job. And in just like 2 months, like the result, we were doing SEO for them. So someone else had just built them a website. So we didn't know the content. We didn't know the website. They just wanted to start with SEO. And we're like, sweet, got them set up. Even within like the first 2 months, like we were just like killing it for them. And it was awesome. And then one day, so with our social media, we publicize like the blog posts that we write for the client because they're never going to take the time to do that. So that's kind of part of what we do for them. So our social media person like posted something, and this was in the beginning. So we're still writing content. We still had gone through like the discovery phase where we're doing research and analysis, competitive analysis, coming up with a strategy, and then rolling out the content because then the content writers are writing it. And so it's like slow to get get the train out of the station.
Right.
And so while that happens, we keep up with like the weekly posting on like the Google business profile, blah, blah, blah. So our social person posted something and it was language pulled directly from their website.
Mm-hmm.
And I got a phone call shredding me, like ripping me to shreds, like I was a fucking moron and how dare I do this. Like I would be happy to train you on insurance in the roofing space and blah blah blah. Mind you, like we've been doing this 10 years. Like we work with roofers all over the country. Like we have clients in Canada, US, and Australia. Like we fucking know what we're doing.
Right.
So just to have someone like call me up, and this wasn't even my client, it was who had referred this client to us, just berate me and talk to me like I was so fucking stupid. And this, and we are like the thing we were hired to do, we are killing it. Our person pulled this from your website, and they apparently had changed their business model and were no longer going after any insurance work. Never told us.
But they don't tell you that, right?
No, so like website that they do. There's a page dedicated to insurance work on their website.
A page, it's part of their homepage. It's part of their entire process. They never told us that. So this woman, like the way she spoke to me, I was just like,
people are crazy.
I've never had a man in this space. Like none of our clients have ever talked to me this way. Like, so it just blew me away. Like that's why I'm like really big into women supporting women. So to just be torn down and talked to like this by another woman was like, you're just gobsmacked. You're like, I don't even know what to do with this.
Yeah.
And so that was like,
you didn't even know because you didn't do the post. She's also like, I'm getting IMs. You were like out in public when she like berated you, weren't you? And you're like, what did we post? Like we always assume we are wrong until we figure out.
I think you would have posted something so political or something against whatever, like posted about ISIS or something, right? Like that sounds horrible.
Yeah.
That's like horrid, but you didn't do that.
Exactly.
No.
And it was verbatim from the website. And then you were pissed too afterwards. You're like, I wish I'd known what she was even talking about, because she could have stood up for our team member and been like, go fuck yourself. But instead you're caught off guard and you're like, we had to go do our homework and figure out what the fuck she was even talking about.
Right.
Yeah. And like dig into it. And so then like, it was just, if you were a lawmaker in this state and you were really looking into like trying to really hang someone out to dry, you could have perhaps interpreted what was being said as this roofer would file your claim for you. But that's like if you tried to think of it that way, which is how she read it, because that's what she kind of like specialized in.
Right, being
so
in
that's
that,
how
in
she
that
took
space,
it.
she probably took it a certain way, yeah.
So like I said, she wasn't even the client, but she like had a relationship with the client. So then it was just like, we're like, what do we even do with this? Like, this is, so that was like that was the worst situation. We got fired. Their results were insane. The actual owners were like, oh my God, the leads are crazy. We're number one. And this, which in SEO, for those listening, that does not happen in 3 months. Like SEO is long-term. You're looking
Yes, I wish people would understand that. That's like the biggest argument I feel like Katy and I are facing right now is, and I don't even want to say it like trying to sell contractors, but when you're explaining like, I have the tools to get you where you want to go and like the knowledge, and I can do it all for you. And yes, it's going to cost, but like trying to explain SEO to a roofing contractor is so hard because they think they have an idea of what it is, but they don't know what it's actually doing. And I thrive. Like I know the paid stuff can perform, right? I thrive off of organic SEO and organic social media leads. I am like, it's the best feeling. Every time I see a client get another organic something, I'm like, oh my God, it makes you feel, it takes away the imposter syndrome almost. Cause some days I'll like be so hard on myself. Like, am I even doing it? Like, is this where I'm supposed to be in life? Is marketing even what I'm supposed to be doing? Am I just wasting all these all these clients' money? Like when you take a step back, because we had just recently posted on our 99 Creatives social media, our achievements because we've been an official business since February of 2023. So it's been however many months, we're not even at a year yet. And all the leads that we've generated for all the clients, it like, I could like relax because I've been so on tight. Like, oh my God, are we doing it right? Is everything going okay? Like worried about all these bits and pieces and then seeing the number going, oh, it works. Like we're doing it right. And it's not like we're guessing, but it's when you're in a space trying to explain it to somebody that doesn't know it and they have all these questions, and then it makes you question in your own head yourself, hearing these questions. I could go down the whole rabbit hole about it, but yeah, that's crazy. Like having all of this positive going for you guys and like what you're doing?
So quickly. Yeah. And then to just and then they fired us and we're like, we have never been fired, especially after 2 months, especially with results like this, just because they didn't tell us that they changed their entire business model. So we didn't take it all off the site. We're like, all right.
If she just gotten the right person's ear about that, the day-to-day people we were dealing with, I do content interviews all the time with our clients. So I was in constant communication with them and they were feeling so heard and we were meeting all their needs and they were loving us. And then just somebody with the purse strings was kick them. And we're like, do you even want to see a report?
Right. Did you see the numbers? Have you seen what we've done? Right.
That's frustrating because in the beginning, we don't make any money. There's so much outpouring for the SEO setup and all the stuff. We're 3 to 6 months into the contract before we're finally starting to see some, money as agency owners. And we're
right.
We put all that work in and we gave you a really good baseline and now you kicked us to the curb before we're ever even going to see a penny.
Right. That was a good setup, fantastic foundation for
you're welcome.
Yeah. Yeah. It just sucks because we really, really care and really care about the client and nothing is cookie cutter. And we just invest so much in because we're pretty particular because we don't want to be some massive, scorpion size agency. That's not us. And
right.
So we're particular with who we bring on because you have to have that good relationship. So that one hurt. That sucked. And that was, I think that's literally in, I don't know, the 5 years together, but my 10 years in this, I can't think of something that just bothered me so much the way it all went down,
Yeah.
But yeah.
So
sorry, that's my horror story.
Because I have to, no, you're fine. Thinking about this because I'm, in the midst of doing this for clients that I oversee right now. What is your, I want to compare, just discuss, like I said, commonalities. What is your content structure like? Do you guys for a client, say you're doing their social media and their content creation, are you planning out a month ahead? Are you doing 2 weeks? What's the vibe with the services? Well, how often do you think it's important or how important do you think it is to speak to your clients often? You know what I mean? Because there's so many marketing agencies that I know that have a bad rap for barely talking to their clients. And Katy's talking literally every week. She's got phone calls with everybody. I have weekly client calls. Just making sure you're staying transparent is so huge for us. What does that look like for you guys?
Yes, absolutely. So such a good question. I try to talk to them every month and do an in-depth content interview, which is where so much everything comes from. So I'm in charge of planning out our content calendar, and we're writing this month for stuff that's going to get published next month, and then we socialize all of it. We have this whole system in place where everyone lives in the same spreadsheet, and then it gets published, and then someone else socializes it, and on to the next. So we don't do just traditional organic social. We thank God for people that'll do it, but we're it's just not we just don't love it. So we do it to the point that it works for SEO. So we're touching everyone's profiles and posting to them once a week. We'll do a holiday post, that kind of thing. And then we let them add the personal stuff of the team meetings and stuff. Mm-hmm. But the content interviews are where it's where my heart is. That's where we get to know them and we learn about what's in. And so often that's when they'll just casually mention something that we're we would have never known that if we weren't just sitting here having an organic conversation with you. And we can write really great content as a result of it. And it's actually reflective of what's happening in their business. And it's just and then it makes gives us that partnership that makes them know us. And over time it trains them holy shit, I should tell them that, because they so often I think they think they're bothering us when it's no, if something happened, tell us. We want to make sure it's reflective on the website, and we're writing blog content around it, we're socializing it,
Absolutely. Yeah, that's what we've been especially when a client has a storm hit in a certain area, you're I need to know zip codes right away. We're going to get this stuff out for you. That's when Katy and I get so frantic when we know the storm's coming in a certain area, right? I have so many different cities in my weather app just to check, make sure, because sometimes, the company owner is not going to think, oh my God, I got a storm. Let me text my marketing company. They're going, oh, we've got a storm. Let's go fix some roofs, right? We get so frantic and it's make this post that's about the community, stay safe, weather's coming. And then going, okay, zip codes, we got to get zip codes, we got to get paid ads. Let's hit them, let's target everything, the whole process of it all.
The craziness of a storm. You're okay, let's go, fire away.
Yeah, that's what it is. Katy will be, but it's also what's so crazy about it is being in the middle of your day-to-day already, and then knowing a storm's coming for a certain area, and then adding the extra storm work on top of your day-to-day and trying to get it all done so you're not losing your mind. It's a whole It's a whole process. I can't even, they're fun though. I will say they're fun. I love doing it when it's frantic and it's like under pressure. I'm like, got my music on. I'm cranking stuff out. It's the best time. And I'm sure you guys can relate to that. So so you guys, who's SEO? Who's Amanda? You're more content.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And then Devon,
I'm SEO.
SEO. Yeah. Okay. So within both your expertise areas, what is your like favorite service to provide for somebody, for a client?
You want to go first, Devon?
Mine's easy.
Is it just SEO?
It is, but my favorite, like I love, so we'll do like coaching, right? Because not everyone can afford that monthly kind of retainer. And some businesses are so small where you're like, this doesn't make sense for you. You need to learn to crawl before you walk sort of deal.
Right.
And so it's good to have that coaching side, but I love when I get hired to like audit somebody's SEO. It is my favorite because I like, oh my gosh, I love that. I love going in there because you can, if it's not working, if they've already been doing it, they're like, can you please just look at this? It's been 9 months, it's been 12 months, and like we are not moving the dial. And so when I get paid to sit there and be like, try this, X, Y, and obviously like SEO is not linear. It's not an exact science. You can't say like step 1, 2, 3, because when you look at somebody's like data, you might see something here that leads you to here, that leads you like to think about this thing over here. So number 1, it's hard to teach, but number 2, like if someone has some data and they've tried it, you're like, oh yeah, let me see. I'll tell you what's going on. This is what I would do. But my advice is always, if this were my dad's company, this is what I would tell him to do. Because that's kind of how I look at it, just like with that ownership. And because there's like content on a site, right? But then there's so much more that goes into like the site's architecture, the structure, there's so many pieces to it. Your headlines, how long are they? How many H1s do you have? Do you even have an H1? You would be shocked at how many people don't have an H1 on their website.
The thing that's so hard because we use SEMrush to do all of that stuff. When we look at websites, we look at, any errors on the websites. And I just had to explain to somebody, when you have low copy to HTML ratio and them trying to understand because they don't see the code, right? That's not on their mind. They just see what's on there. Well, it says, roofing contractor and, whatever, Smallville, USA, that's SEO, right? It's good. No, you don't have enough copy on there. It's like if you pulled all the coding behind the scenes and put it next to the copy that's on your page and your code is way longer than the copy on your page, it's going to error. And it just explaining those is so much fun with our website stuff. And yeah, especially with SEO, like finding what clicks. I mean, it goes for social media too. Like when you're creating content and what's so crazy is having clients in different states and you think, okay, well, this worked for this client here as a roofing company. It's a totally different vibe. And when it's hilarious when roofing companies come to us and they're like, well, I really like what so-and-so posts in New York City when I'm all the way in California. It's like, well, okay, we have to do this, but with a California spin on it, right? You got to match what your people are interested in. You're not selling to people in New York. You're selling to people in California, right? And kind of making that connection. But what would you say about content creation? Or what's your favorite? Yeah.
It's kind of because I do wear the paid media hat and the content and that hat.
Right.
Paid media, my favorite thing to do is similar to what Devon said, going in and kind of like auditing when we get something handed over to us. But I freaking love it when I get in there and they're like just not doing anything right. And I can just go flip like a few things, build them some landing pages and then be like, that same money you used to spend is actually driving leads. And I talked about the imposter syndrome earlier. Like if it's not converting, I'm like, am I even good at this? Do I suck? Like what the fuck am I?
Right.
And then I get 2 emails that day that says that this landing page drove 2 leads. And I'm like, okay, I'm good at my job again. I can like.
Right. Okay. We're good. Yeah. Like panic attack over. It's fine. Yeah, everything's fine. Nobody panic.
Yeah, exactly. And then with content, it's those interviews and then looking at Search Console later and actually being able to go into a quarterly review and be like, remember those content interviews you sat through? Look, these 5 new pieces we wrote are suddenly our strongest drivers of impressions outside of our homepage and our, couple service pages. It just seeing the numbers behind what we're doing, just feels so good.
Right. Because it's not, it goes from being, you can explain to somebody what you do all day long and they could be really invested, but only invested so much until you show them the numbers and you're like, look, compare, do these match up? Yes, they do. We know what we're doing.
Tell me what was the value of this project? Yeah. And
Right.
There you go. We're paid for.
Like, here's your ROI. Look at it. You just got this much money from using us, right? Something that's been huge that we implemented back in May was a different structure to our engagement on like when we manage our clients' pages. It's like we follow X amount of accounts a day. We comment, utilize everything that the platform is created for. And that's what's also so hard is to explain to people, well, I don't want to follow all these people when, I want my following to be higher than who I'm following. And it's like, that's not what it's about. Right. Mm-hmm. It's not about let me pick and choose. You want to reach the community, especially in the roofing industry, homeowners, commercial building owners, all of that stuff. We implemented this engagement strategy and I get so excited because I send out a report at the end of the month and I love to sum them all up because I'll do at the end of the month and then I'll do the whole quarter. Right. When I get to the end of a quarter and showing them the numbers and because we do the reports through SEMrush and I'm like, look at all the green. Just look at it. It's so pretty.
Yeah.
It's so
like
pretty.
A lush forest.
Right. And the thing that's funny is that roofing contractors they care to an extent, but nobody ever responds. They're happy with their stuff, right? Katy's talking to them every week, but it's like they never respond to my emails. And I'm like, I'm so excited, like typing this whole email, like, this is fantastic. Oh my God. And then it's just crickets. But they love it, right? They talk to Katy about it, so I can understand.
No response means they're stoked, and they move on to the next email, and they don't.
Right. That's exactly and that's what Katy says too. She's like, nobody ever responds to that anyway. You're fine. Like, it's fine. I'm like, I know, but I'm excited. Be excited with me.
I feel like we hear from them when they're pissed. Outside of right, like you're never gonna get an atta girl. Like you're gonna. Like you'll just hear when they're mad.
Yes. Have you guys ever had somebody come to you and ask you for help and then not actually go through with using your services, but trying to implement some of the things that you've kind of explained?
Probably.
Sure, we have. There's plenty of times where we're like, I think we just gave them a few hours of free consulting when it felt like it was business development. And then they just, but I don't know that we've ever actually been able that we've seen it later and been like, that's them trying. But like
we've done so much free work though, just trying to help people. That's
exactly how Katy and I feel. It's like we do a lot of extra that's outside of what they're paying for. And it's because we want them to do well. And if it's like, we're okay with making that sacrifice of like, okay, here's a little bit of my time. Because I want you to succeed.
Yeah. Well, there's that when they're already a client, it feels better. But this spring we had it was chaos and we gave away so many hours of free consulting. But not only that, we found, and what's hard is you hear these horror stories and people, when they're coming to us, they have been screwed over and they're hoping you're a good guy and you're talking them and you want to prove you're like, I know there is a lot of shit out there and you want to prove that you're one of the good guys. And so you're invested in helping them because we're all small business owners too. Right. And so we just feel the pain. We had one lady in Vancouver, Canada, BC. And when she fired her agency, they no indexed her website. The entire thing had been no indexed for 6 months. And so we logged and she had no idea. I'm like, it was on a Wix site and it was so deep down in the settings because they don't want you to accidentally do it. It was intentional, very intentional.
Right.
And so just stuff like that, but weeding through Wix because, we work in WordPress with our clients. So I'm like, yeah, I messed around in Wix. It's intuitive. You can figure it out, so some of the hours there in consulting and explaining it to her in a discovery call. And you take things so far and then they ghost you and you're like, well, at least you're on the web again.
Right. Where you do all this help and it's you're doing it out of the kindness of your heart because you want them to you want it to work out. I actually had what's so hard. Have you guys ever picked up a disaster from another SEO or marketing agency? It's insane. I had a client that it's so crazy because we've had within the last couple of weeks, so many organic form fills for this client. And we just recently picked up their SEO. We were only doing social media for them. We recently picked up their SEO and I'm going through everything and I'm like, what is wrong with this website? I start going through the copy. First off, they had 4 different company names on there that were variations of the company, right? Our client, Steadfast Roofing Group. They're in Pennsylvania. Their Steadfast Roofing Group, LLC. On the website was Steadfast Roofing Group, Steadfast Roofers, Steadfast General Contractor, Steadfast Concrete. It was like so many different business names. I'm like, oh my God, this is why this site is doing horrible. Like Google doesn't even know whose site it is.
Yeah.
So dealing with that, but then I go and find out that they had set them up on a different form fill. It was a different form like widget, but it was a different form widget. Like I had discovered it after we had already run ads. They were getting leads, but we were running paid ads. And it was like the point of our content that we were putting out, the organic stuff we were putting out, was to direct people back to the website. And so we're like putting out all this effort. And I'm like, where are these form fills? Because I couldn't figure it out for the life of me. I finally figured it out. And I'm like, no wonder we haven't gotten anything, because it's not even set up to notify. Like literally the entry goes nowhere. It goes nowhere. So this guy I'm like, how much did you lose out from this previous SEO company? He sent us all like the forms and like tracking that company did for him. And Katy and I just looked at it. We were like, oh my God. And we don't want to talk bad about other SEO agencies, but it was just like,
well, there are bad guys. There's good guys and there's bad guys. There's like a lot of good reputable firms too, for sure.
Right. And that's the thing that's hard is because, especially in the contractor space, so many contractors get burnt from marketing agencies bad.
Oh, absolutely. And I was running ads for a plumber that's based here in Phoenix, and we don't do their SEO. I kept telling him, like, let's not run ads. Just let us do your SEO. Because I was seeing stuff in the back end of the site that I didn't like, blah, blah, blah.
Right.
And then I'm on a call one day, just going through my report with them. And I'm talking about the names of the leads I was able to drive that month from paid media. And they're like, we haven't gotten any of those. And I'm like, excuse me? I go and look, and the guy that's managing their site and doing all their SEO, they hadn't been getting the leads for months. And I'm like, you're paying me and him I'm running ads. You're paying him for SEO. You're getting none of these.
And I'm sure they're paying ad spend too. And oh my gosh.
Like, it just so annoyed me. I had to throw our developer on it. We fixed it really fast for them, but I'm just like, fuck that guy. Like,
well, I know that's the thing. It's like these things like this are like easy fixes that you think that it would catch somebody's like, let me test this form before I go and make it live. And I don't know how long this client had their website live for with this form previously. But like, since we've gotten it up and running, it's like all of these organic leads are coming in, and it's like everything's clicking, and it's like, it makes me so happy, but it also makes me so mad that they went that long without anything.
How long was it?
They're like, what am I even using a website for? Nobody's like people are going to it. We saw in the analytics, but it's like people were filling out the forms. We just didn't know it. So, and I say we, but like the company didn't know it for so long because it wasn't discovered until recently.
Yeah.
So, oof, that hurts.
Yeah. It's not fun. Especially having to break that news. Like, hey, you got pretty much scammed out of a lot of money, not from us. We're trying to fix it. It's hard. It's hard to tell people that.
Yeah. That user experience too, of all those people in their local market that filled out a form. I'm like, they never called me. Like, that's also,
I know. And that's it sucks with reputation management, especially when, do you guys do PR at all with your firm?
We do a little bit.
A little bit. Yeah. We're venturing more into it, and it's hard to do, when you're trying to build this PR campaign, and there's things that you have to like do damage control over that you didn't, like, that person didn't necessarily cause. It was a previous agency that caused the damage, right? And now you got to do damage control for somebody that's not even involved in this whole process anymore. It's a nightmare, but it's also, it's good practice, right? You can really prove some results there. Anyway, if you guys want to hear a topic, if you need some advice, if you just want to chat, you can always reach Katy and I on our Instagram page at F__K your pod, or you can always email me at Emma@99creatives or Katy@99creatives. I never say that because she always says that part. So this is weird. It's a weird feeling, but let us know where our listeners can find you guys. Let's get your plug in.
So you can contact me at DHAYES Hayes at elevmarketing.com, or find me on LinkedIn, Denver Hayes Devon. Devon.
And you can reach me at ajoyce@elevmarketing.com, or you can just check us out online at elevmarketing.com and interact with our chatbot or fill out our lead form. We would love to hear from you guys.
Awesome. Thank you, ladies, so much for being on. This has been so, I could go on for days.
It's been fun. It's been awesome. Thanks for
everything. But yeah, it's been a blast. And for those that are listening, don't forget, do the damn thing. Okay, bye.